This is Gothica Eterna.
Hello, YouTube. Oh god, that sounded girly. Okay. I'm gonna start this over again. Hey, YouTube. Sorry about that weird intro. I am really dysphoric right now. And my dysphoria doesn't always make me uncomfortable with things that are stereotypically feminine. Usually I'm more of a mix, whether I'm more to the male end of the spectrum or not. Even at the male end of the spectrum, I'm usually okay with things like my long hair or high voice, but I'm really not there today. I am really struggling with my dysphoria, so yeah, bear with me. It's been a couple days since I did the last segment of the Lgbt Tag, where I did the video about self-injury and suicide. So it's been a couple days since that, so I'm going to continue on with the rest of the questions that I was going to answer. If I can find the rest of the questions that I was going to answer. Sorry. Those are questions for a totally different video that I still haven't decided if I'm going to do or not. Okay. Alright. There we go. Okay. So, last time I did thoughts regarding inner turmoil about your sexuality. Did you have any? Did it escalate to self-injury or suicidal thoughts? Now I'm going to move on to the question that I meant to also do in the last segment but ran out of time. Did you face any problems regarding religion? I already did talk about that quite a bit in the last video, but for those who may have skipped it because of the trigger, I grew up in a very Christian home, and essentially, my sexual orientation and gender identity were sins, flat out. And for the first 6 years after I realized that I was interested in women, I firmly believed that it was a sin, and I let it plague me for a very long time. I am very happy that I am now at a point in time where I have found a belief system that works for me and that does not make me feel condemned. I found a belief system that works for me and doesn't make me feel condemned, and I am grateful for that. The next question, how your parents took it or how you think they might. They didn't take it very well. I got kicked out at 18. Have yet to attend college, but I have started to build a career for myself, so that's good. And I eventually want to, I have my business Gothica Eterna, but it's currently in vacation mode because I don't have the merchandise, but I eventually want to turn that into a physical store that people can come and shop at. So I have goals that I don't need college for, and most of my family is supportive. My parents, however, are not. What do you think the closet or being closeted means to you? I think there's a couple different closets. For 6 years, I was closeted to everybody, including myself. And then it wasn't 6 years, my bad. Replace any time that I have said 6 years in this video with 4 years. Yeah. Because I realized that I wasn't straight in 6th grade, and then I came out at the beginning of my mid-junior year, so about 4.5 years. And then I think there's different stages to coming out of the closet. I think it's a really weird question. I honestly don't think I ever thought about people having different definitions of being in the closet. To me, being in the closet is when you are hiding who you are. So there are people who are out in certain situations and in the closet in other situations. I am generally out of the closet, but sometimes I might not disclose my sexual orientation or gender identity if I don't feel safe to do so with a new person. Generally, I don't care, and I figure if something were to physically happen, I figure I could handle myself, and if not, that's what I have partners for. And if it's like verbal or whatever, then they can say whatever the fuck they want, and I'm okay with that. Like, I've hit a point where I'm okay with the possibility that people might not accept me. I don't care if they like it. It's more, I don't care if they like it, but they will respect me. And if they won't, then I will not interact with them. And it's plain and simple. So I'm generally out of the closet with everyone, but some people, it doesn't come up. I don't feel the need. So technically you could say I'm in the closet. So yeah, I don't know if I answered that right, but 9. What do you think about LGBT pride? Is it helpful or hurtful? Encouraged or unnecessary? I think at this point, LGBT pride is a good thing. And I mean, it depends on what you're saying is pride. Like, if we're talking about the pride parades and like things like that, and having the pride flag like on your backpack or wearing a pride flag shirt or whatever, I wish we didn't need it. I wish society saw it as so normal that we didn't need to come out of a closet and we didn't need to proclaim our pride in who we are. Like, I actually addressed it on my Facebook page. I believe on my personal Facebook page about why straight people don't need a pride parade. Straight people don't need pride because every single day they are able to be proud and comfortable in who they are. Every single day when a straight person walks down the street with their opposite sex partner, nobody questions it, nobody stares, nobody looks. And I mean, sometimes I experience that privilege when I am with my male partner, but then there will be times when I'll experience that, when I won't experience that because I'm with a female partner. And then even worse is if all 3 of us are in public together. That's a whole nother can of worms. So straight people don't need pride because I can't remember which YouTuber said it, but I don't even know if it was a YouTuber. I saw it in my Facebook feed. That every fucking day is your pride parade. And I hope that we someday get to a point where we don't need pride for the LGBT community. I feel like people just being people and being creatures of habit are always going to continue it, whether we need it or not. But I hope we get to a point where it's not assumed that people are straight. You don't have to make a big deal about coming out. I hope we get to a point where it's unnecessary. But right now, I mean, some people, generally heterosexual, cisgendered individuals who don't understand it, will ask, like, why do you even need pride? You want to be treated the same, so why are you making yourselves stand out? We're making ourselves stand out because we need the visibility. And we've gotten a lot more visibility, especially in the last 5 years. And we've had a lot of positive changes happen, but the fight is far from over. We are still dealing with discrimination. There are still so many states where you can get fired from your job for not being straight or not identifying as cisgender. There are so many states where, I won't say so many states because I don't know the exact number and I don't know if it's a dominating number. I didn't do research on this before this video because this video is unscripted, as have my last few videos. But there are states where LGBT hate crimes are not considered hate crimes because LGBT rights are not protected. So until we get to a point where we can honestly say that we have the same rights as heterosexual and cisgendered individuals, we will always need LGBTQPAI plus asterisk pride. We will need pride. And also for that community and that ability to meet people just like yourself, or like on the same page as yourself. Like, straight people meet each other in a bunch of places. Straight people go to bars, and those bars are generally full of primarily straight people. There might be an LGBT person or two, but usually we go to our own bars. And there are more straight bars than gay bars. So, like, heterosexual people find each other everywhere. It's not always as easy for us to find each other. So, pride parades, PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, groups, meetings, parades, gay bars, like, that is where we find our people. And that is where we click. So until people are comfortable enough to be out enough to where we can just randomly find them that easily, like as easily as straight people can find each other and make friends, pride parades and like the whole pride thing will be the best way for us to meet each other. And even not just pride parades and meetings and groups and organizations, but even just that discreet little pansexual flag pin that people who are not educated on the flags will not know. And then I can know, hey, that person either really likes those colors and doesn't know what it means, or they're pansexual. And it's like, it opens the door, like, hey, I like your pin. Oh, I like your bracelet. Because I actually have a bisexual flag colors bracelet that I wore when I first came out. The friend that I came out to gave it to me. Made it for me, actually. Anyway, I think I'm going to move on to the next question because I'd like to get at least 3 questions in this video. What does marriage mean to you? To me, while I would have a legal marriage, to me, marriage is not defined strictly by the legality of said union, because as far as I'm concerned, when I am married, I will be married to my husband and my wife. Even though I legally cannot be married to both, and I will only be legally married to one of them, I will consider them both to be my spouse. So to me, marriage is a lifelong commitment that you make between yourself and one or more other people. I mean, technically, I think if you want to make a lifelong commitment to yourself, I think we could change that definition to a lifelong commitment that you make to any one person or persons. Because I guess there are people who've married, like, cardboard cutouts of themselves. There's somebody who married the Berlin Wall. There's somebody who married a tree. Personally, I think I prefer if my future partner is human. Or at least human-like, with a human-like intelligence. Okay. I'm not even typing in my password. Okay, so that's marriage. For me, a lifelong union, or union that's intended to be lifelong, between yourself and another person or persons. Okay, it's asking me, like, books, movies, models, celebrities, songs, artists, quotes, the relationship from my first LGBT relationship, which I don't have. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm sorry, guys. My first experience with an LGBT organization or event, it was a Day of Silence. Day of Silence my junior year. I had completely forgotten that it was the Day of Silence. And I showed up talking, and then I saw my friends with duct tape. And I kept talking. Because shush, my phone decided that it wanted to research what I was saying. I was not wearing duct tape, and I kept talking because I didn't plan on doing it. I figured I'd already been talking, and I also had the issue of a lot of the people that I went to school with, their mothers were in Bible studies with my mothers. And after a while, I did start before school officially started. So this was all before school. After a while, I literally said, "Fuck it, give me the duct tape." Because I felt like for once in my life, I wanted to stand up for what I believed in. Just once. And I also felt that it was one of the easiest ways for me to proclaim to literally everybody outside of the Gay Straight Alliance that I, at the very least, supported LGBT rights. It was like a stepping stone. Like, instead of just coming out and saying, "I am a lesbian," or "I am pansexual," or "I am gender fluid," although I didn't identify as gender fluid at the time. Instead of just coming out and saying it right away to everybody, it was like first saying, "I'm okay with this." And then about a year later, people would see me with my significant other, who was, at the time when I met them, they identified as non-binary, and then they identified as male, and I'm not sure where the identity is at now, so I'm just going to use neutral terms. But yeah, so I wore the duct tape. And a lot of people, it was interesting, because usually the duct tape is a symbol of those who can't speak out. And the silence. And when I wore it, to me it was me finally symbolizing to everybody around me, this is what my life is like at home. And in a way, I feel like it just made me get more frustrated with my situation and want to change it but not know how. But it was one of the best ways that I could have said, like, look at where I'm at right now. I don't feel like I can talk about it. And then senior year, Day of Silence was even better. And I still have the shirt for it. The club got together and we made shirts that said "Free to Be" 2014. And I had everybody who I saw with duct tape sign the back, and I still have that shirt. I remember when my male partner and I first got together one day, he and I were Skyping, and all he saw was the word "free," and he was like, "Does it really say free over your boobs?" And I'm like, "No, it says free to be." Yeah, it does say free over my tits. Yeah, but that's not all it says. It says free to be. But yeah, anyway, that was my first experience with a Pride event. And it was challenging. Day of Silence is very challenging. It is not easy to make it through your entire school day without talking. We did write, like, notes to communicate, and then that got confusing when one of my friends wrote me a note in French, but it was one word, and it was "ooh." But there's two versions of "ooh" that are spelled the same, but one has an accent over the "u" and one doesn't. So he missed the accent, so I thought he was saying "or," and then he wrote it in English and wrote "where," and I'm like, well, you should have added the accent over the "u" or just written it in English. Anyway, that was off topic. I feel like I should have more to say on my first experience with a Pride event or LGBT event. But I feel like it was such a blur. And after it was over, my first inclination, or not my first inclination, the first thing on my mind was, how do I make sure that my family doesn't know what I did? So I was making sure that there was no trace of the fact that I'd had duct tape. I had written on my wrist in Sharpie and on my knuckles in Sharpie, and I believe my knuckles said LGBT, so we had to like cover those up with Sharpie stars. And I actually made the mistake of leaving "End the Silence" on my arm, and my mother saw it and she was like, "End the silence, what's that for?" And I didn't know what to say. So I said, my response was that, like, today is anti-bullying day. And she was like, "Anti-bullying day? It better not be that silent day. We don't do that." And in my head, I was like, "Well, I do." And I was like, "No, it was just," out loud, I was like, "No, it was just a general, like, anti-bullying day." And she was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, they didn't talk about LGBT stuff." And then I was like, "And anyway, I'm pretty sure the End of the Silence Day is in September." And she was immediately like, "How do you know that?" And I was like, "Because I've heard it mentioned at school," when like totally it wasn't even in September. But yeah. So it was like, also too, just it felt like the whole like concept of End the Silence, all it did was mirror what I was already experiencing at home. But it was really good to feel like I was bringing awareness to the fact that a lot of people in the community feel that way. A lot of people in the community don't say how they feel, they don't speak up, they don't speak out. But yeah, so I'm going to address other questions in other videos because this has been 20 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next LGBT video. I'll probably have like 1 or 2 more parts. So this will be a 4 or 5 part series. So, peace out.